Let's talk a little bit about using the software if you're a small business owner. Okay, I'm going to give you some ideas, and I'm going to tell you how I've used it. However, nobody knows your clients better than you, and you're going to come up with other ideas as you familiarize yourself with the LeadNetPro software. But you know, there's two aspects. There's the emailing aspect, and there's the broadcast dialing aspect. And what a lot of business owners always say to me is like, broadcast dialing. You know, I hate when I get one of those calls. And that's true. I mean, most of us, you know, we don't like it when we get one of those calls. However, they're usually offering something that we don't need or we don't want. So it's important that when you're doing broadcast dialing that you really have about the first, they say the first 10 seconds. However, I try to say something in the first 5 seconds that's compelling enough and talking directly to my audience. In fact, you know, when you purchased the software, it was probably a broadcast dial that you heard from myself or somebody else on my team that said something along the lines of, you know, I used to be in a business like yours and I absolutely hate to cold call. I bet you hate to cold call too. We've got a system that, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you heard that, you're thinking, oh, well, wait a second. Hey, that is me. I do hate the cold call. So you wanted to hear where it's going. You know, you listened to the rest of the message and you pressed 1 and you left your name and number because you wanted to hear more about, you know, what the system is. So, again, it's the same thing for you as a business owner. When you're calling out to people, you want to say something that's pretty compelling that talks to that specific audience. For example, business cash advance people, you know, when they call a business, they say something along the lines of, you know, do you need additional working capital? However, you're tired of paying those extremely high rates of business cash advance loans and you can't go to the bank. Well, I've got a great alternative, et cetera, et cetera. See, that's compelling enough. If it's you know, you're going to talk to it's going to address a lot of business owners who don't need additional working capital. They're just going to hang up. But you're looking for that one guy who needs additional working capital and hears that, and he's done business cash advance before, and he hated paying that really high rate. And again, you know, he's going to leave a message. Now, even though you may be selling business cash advance, the idea is you want to get him on the phone, and hopefully you're a broker who represents a bunch of different companies, and you want to give him the best rate possible. You know, whatever rate he had before, that's what you want to be. If you are a restaurant and you're calling out to all the local businesses, you know, you want to choose which businesses you call. Let's say that you're a pizza place and you have a, you know, all-you-can-eat pizza buffet or something that's $5. You want to call the audience that's going to appeal to, and it might be, you know, auto repair places or really all the businesses in your area. When you leave the message, it needs to be something like, hey, it's lunchtime, are you hungry? And again, you would leave to have that message go out around lunchtime, obviously. If you're in merchant services, again, there's a million different ways to do this. A lot of the people I've sold to, what they do is they offer, you know, they're trying to get the person to leave a message, so they say, we guarantee that we will beat your rate, or we'll give you a $100 American Express prepaid card, or something along those lines. Again, you got to give something away. Now, you better be certain if you say that, that number one, you can always beat their rates, and number two, if you can't beat their rates, that you'll back it up. But what I've found, I used to be in that business, and what I found is you can pretty much always beat somebody's rate. You may not make any money on the deal, but you can beat their rate. So, again, you need to be creative. You need to come up with something very compelling in those first few seconds that gets their attention. I've had some people on our team that have left some really weird messages. Again, it's so weird in the first couple of seconds that the person says, well, what is this? I got to hear the rest of this. And it works. So you'll have to play around with things. Whatever works for you today might not work tomorrow. So you need to always be changing that message. The emailer, let's talk a little bit about that. The number one mistake that people make with the emailer is that they blast out to all these people, you know, wherever they get their leads from, and they're trying to sell in their first email. Like, hey, here's my service, here's my product, buy it. And that's not the way to do it. Really, email is designed to, you know, open up a line of communication, you know. So in your first email, you want to try to just be one sentence or a couple of sentences. For example, when I am emailing merchant services people or business cash advance or, you know, equipment leasing, whatever, in the subject line, it's usually, hey, are you still in business? Or or something along those lines, real short. And then in the body of the email, it'll say something like, hey, are you still in business and looking for leads? Or it might say, hey, are you still in business? I've got some leads for you. Well, you're going to answer that. It doesn't feel like spam, and it's not spam. You're looking for that exact guy that it talks to. Now, you will get responses of all different kinds of emails. Some people just have a bad day. They're going to take it out on you and send it in an email. But more than not, the people that are interested are going to say, well, who's this? And yeah, we're always interested in more leads. Or yes, we're still in business, and we're always looking for leads. So again, same thing if you're merchant services, you might say something like, hey, are you still paying that high rate on your merchant services? Or, hey, what's the last time you checked your rates? Anything like that. Something to open up a line of communication with them. So do not send these spammy emails, because although you probably won't get in trouble for spamming, per se, because again, if you're scraping the internet for these email addresses, they're all email addresses that are public. They were put out there by people saying, hey, here's my email address, contact me. If people keep clicking spam on their email, that your email is spam, you can get shut down by your host, or you can get shut down by whoever your email provider is. So again, it's just a good idea not to do that. By the way, it's a waste of time anyway. So not only can you get caught for get in trouble for spam and them shutting down your account, and you have to go through the trouble of opening up a new hosting and whatnot. It's not effective. So don't do it if it's not effective. Okay, those are really the two things. Again, everything else that you need to know about LeadNet Pro, you're going to learn with hands-on experience. I promise you, once you understand what it does and what it's capable of, it's really, you're only limited by your imagination. I tell everyone that LeadNet Pro is a great software. It works great. However, it's limited by, how creative you can be. It's kind of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't point it in the right direction, you're not going to get the leads that you want. So you need to make sure that you're creative. You're always thinking about who your target audience is, and you are, targeting the software towards them. Those are the leads you want to be pulling. Those are the people that you want to be calling.